Welcome everyone to another episode of the Warmup. I'm here with the guys and the special guest. It's me, Chris, not Rock. We got Coachella in the building. We got KFRL and we have our special guest Ehmpress in the building. Can you please say hello to everyone who is rocking with us today?
Hi
What's up, fam?
guys.
Cool. And again, if this is your first time rocking with us, this is a place where we talk about sports, current events, and everything that's in between through the lens of Black culture. And we're here every Tuesday. We're on YouTube. Again, if you're watching the video, you know where it's at. You know where to follow us and hit the notification bell and do all that stuff. And if you listen to us on video and you want to see us on the audio side, we are on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or all the other ones. And yeah, also real quick, we talk about the social media side. Feel free to follow us. We are on IG, we are on Twitter at Grindhouse NTWK, and then we're also on Reddit, Grindhouse NTWK. So feel free to follow us, better engage with us on that front. We're also on the Discord for people who want to engage with us, get some of the grassroots communal talk, trash talk, and friendly banter. And anything else? I think that's what we got. Yeah. So
I think you nailed it.
So we're here every Tuesday. But before we even get started, like I said, we do have a special guest, and I do appreciate her. Blessing us with her grace. Ehmpress, anything you want to say to the people who are listening in? Where you're from? What you about?
I am Empress. Atlanta, Georgia is where I stay. I am on TikTok at Perfectly Single Co-Parent. Also on IG at Perfectly Single Co-Parent Mom, where I talk about everything that has to do with co-parenting, being a single co-parent mom and a single mom, because there's absolutely a difference between those two. So anyway, that's my little shameless plug.
Definitely. Hey, no problem. If you don't, what you call it, advertise yourself, man. No one else will, and it's free. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Facts.
So yeah, thank you for joining us, and
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Providing some different perspectives. And like I said, we need all the help we can get for Coachella, because man. So anyways, let's get into it. So again, we just doing a quick follow-up, man. We had a last video, man. We talked about Will Smith in the event as it was happening, where he had the slap. We could just call it the slap. I think people know what it is now. It's such an infamous event now that people are still talking about it, and it generated a lot of divide. It generated a lot of gossip. Opinions, we have some too, and we just really want to talk about some of the fallout and just again dissect this multi-layer onion that has so many dynamics and so many characters, positions, and just opinions. So
Yeah.
So let's just start with just like what's happened since, right? So since this whole thing has happened with the Oscars, and everyone's kind of gotten their ability to kind of process what was going on, with the exception of Chris Rock. I heard that he said he's still processing it, at least in his latest stand-up in New York. But since then, Will Smith has been is currently being investigated by the Academy as far as what was going on and what happened, and how they want to proceed with just any kind of punishment, because he did violate the code of conduct according to the Academy. They said allegedly. Because we kind of had this question, like they let him go sit back down after this situation happened, allowed him to accept his award, have his acceptance speech, and all that stuff. So apparently, the Academy formal statement was that they asked him to leave, and he refused. Which I ain't know you can even do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but and again, since then, like I said, a lot of people have been speaking about it. A lot of his colleagues and a lot of just talking heads has been speaking about it, and people such as Jim Carrey, even Amy Schumer, and talked about how it's sickening. It's a representation of toxic masculinity, and things of that nature. And again, because of what's going on, and maybe he kind of came back down to reality and some things settled in, he has decided to resign from the academy, and saying, he apologized to those people who were impacted directly or indirectly because of his actions, and people who couldn't even enjoy some of their wins, like Chris Love, for example. And also apologize to Chris Rock, and again, everyone who was impacted, and he said he's going to continue to work on himself to no longer let the violence take over him in that manner. So, man, there was a lot of update, or at least sound like it was a lot of update. But like I said, a lot of people have opinions, and I guess we can just start with the main question here. Did the ends of what he did justify the means of what he was trying to protect or do? I can start with Ehmpress here, if you mind giving us some of your take.
Sure. First, I want to acknowledge that I think Will Smith did everything thus far correctly. It's definitely a good PR move to apologize. So kudos to him for at least being able to acknowledge that. I guess when you're on the outside looking in, you don't really understand or know how sincere or genuine it was. If it's just sort of, damage control, or if he is sincerely remorseful for what he did. So without even getting into whether or not he really meant his apology to Chris Rock and to the Academy and to whomever else, just kudos to him for doing what he had to do, because he could have absolutely not apologized. But so going into this whole thing, where do you want me to start? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just letting you flow with it. But I mean, the question was just asking if the end justifies the means. But if you wanted to kind of expand on something a little bit more, then yeah, feel free. Just
no, we can definitely start there. It absolutely did not.
Okay.
It was absolutely inappropriate. It was. I was telling my coworker, I felt like it literally took us back 200 years.
Oh man.
I was like, he just took us back at least 200 years. And the reason why I say that is because anybody who knows the history, the cultural history of the Oscars, knows that it is a very, to make it plain, racist institution as it relates to the film industry. Halle Berry was the first and thus far only Black African American female that has received an Oscar, and that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
So, right. So for me, looking at it, I was like, wow, you just put on a show for these people, and it was not one monkey, and that's no pun intended, not one monkey trying to ruin the show, but 2 African American men on stage. I don't know if anybody really understands the implications of that and what that looks like to the broader view. That's why my question to you was, would he would have done that if it was someone who was other than African American? You know what I mean? Like, that's my question. And I was just like, he literally set us back 200 years. And I'm sure most people would be like, that's a bit of it's a bit of exaggeration. It wasn't that bad. But for me, on the main stage, looking at 2 Black African American men engage in a toxic way was a setback. You take your business, you take your dirty laundry, and you, like Diddy said when he came out on the stage, Diddy was like, that whole thing with I'm paraphrasing, that whole thing with Will and Chris, we gonna handle this like family at the party. And I was like, yeah, that's how we do that. Because unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of airing our dirty laundry on the world's stage. Other folk do. We do not. We don't handle our business like that. Culturally, we don't do that. You handle that behind closed doors, and you handle that. He could handle that backstage. So no, it was absolutely inappropriate. And I was just like, I love me some Will Smith. In a different life, I'd be like, yeah, that's my man. Like I love me Tupac too, but honestly, I'm a nice guy kind of girl. So Pac, although would have been tempting, but Will would have been like a perfect man for me. So when he did that, I was just like, damn, Will, like. So no. And the fact that it was Chris Rock, if anybody knows anything about Chris Rock's past growing up in the South, how he was treated by white folk and what he says about himself as far as self-esteem and how he sees himself and certain things that he is secure in and then certain things that he's not secure in, I was just like, and everybody knows this is common knowledge in Hollywood, so it's not like it was hidden or only a few people knew this. People knew and know about Chris Rock's past. And these two, Will and Chris, they're not strangers to each other. They know each other very well. So I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that Will Smith knew this about this man and understood that he was the type of person that he could do that to. And that is absolutely and totally unfair. Now, I tell you what, his Chris Rock's brother is cut from a different cloth, because Chris Rock's brother was like, you come up on this and you got something to say on this day? He was like, yeah, the only thing you're going to be nominated for these fists. And I was like, he is what Chris Rock needed at that time. So that, because I was just like, oh my gosh, they're like day and night. But the memes did not justify that. It just did not at all.
Awesome, cool, great take. I'm sorry, Coachella. You said you had something to say.
No, I agree with everything with that. Tony Rock he's gangster, right? And he said there's 10 Rock brothers, and they're gonna be looking out for Will, but if he crosses that line again, they come in at Will, right? And there's 10 of these cats, man. That's a huge family, bro. You don't want to go against that. I do hate the fact. And Empress, you hit on something, because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote something about this, right? Like, it took us back eons. And I seen on social media, it says, why we always got to tiptoe around the right. It's not about tiptoeing around white people or on stage or anything like that. It's that the light just hits us differently, right? And we all know why. So no matter how we want to be as individuals as we are, there's a collective statement, a collective conscience that we have to represent regardless. Because what Will did to Chris, it's that stereotype, angry black man, right? Angry black woman. So what they just did on the national stage what Will did was highlight that whole stereotype. So now you got to fight that back, right? Because the jokes are coming. Somebody already been in the meeting at work. They disagree with something like, look, Bob. Oh, hey, Trey.
Don't slap me.
Don't slap me.
Yeah.
And it's that underhanded stuff, man, and it highlights that. And I hate that happened. I'm pretty sure Will is conscious of this, man. Will is a very smart dude. I hate that all this happened to him and the fallback, which I know we'll talk about, but it definitely set us back. This is something they could have handled backstage. He could have not pulled him off stage. But here's my thing. Will knew he was getting that Oscar, right? He knew this.
Yeah.
Like, you played Serena Venus's dad. That's a character. The dude that plays the bar for the Ball Brothers, he's gonna get something too, right? They're characters. He could have made another joke at Chris, because Will, he has a comedic bone in his body. He's a creative dude. That would have won him applause, praise, all this stuff, man. Hit Chris where he hit you at on that same stage. So that's my thing, man. It's something this is another thing we're gonna have to go back to, because even going back to I don't want to say that word, the era, the 3 years, right? YouTube blocks that word, but it rhymes with Nivid, right? So in that time, we had the BLM things, we had all this stuff going on, and there were certain news agencies that painted that as violent, right? and then you have another perspective like, oh, it's peaceful. And we had the whole Bible upside down incident, right? So that just amplifies the angry black people stereotype, and that's something that we're going to constantly have to battle. Something else is going to happen to take us back, but as history has shown, no sweat off our back, man. We're going to keep on marching forward. But I hate that it happened on the grandest of stage with a black producer, a black production crew. At first, when I looked at it, I was like, man, why does this look like Real Housewives of like DC, Atlanta, some reality hip hop and love, love and hip hop? I'm like, why does it look like that when we have a black producer? That's crazy, right? But that's my take on it.
Okay. All right, Kev, you have anything?
Man, I said so much on this already. Y'all open up so many different layers and angles and tangents we could go on right now. My mind is flooded, I'm gonna be honest, but took us back. I agree with that 200%. That's the first feeling I got, just the natural instinct. It's like, well, what's this? What are you doing? Like, this isn't the place, this isn't the time. What's happening here? The whole PDD about handle this as family, I read that and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Wholeheartedly agreed with that. And he said it so calm and cool, like, yo, you already know, like, this is how we do it. So for Will to go out of the pocket like that, it goes to the second point, which was putting on a show. I felt like he was putting on a show. I don't know if it was for us. It certainly wasn't. We wasn't pleased. We weren't, we were like, go Will. That wasn't the feeling I had.
It wasn't a movie. It wasn't a movement.
It wasn't a movement. It wasn't a movie, but it looked like one. The smack, we talked about the hand and how he had that good hip action and how he twisted with it. Yep. He walked away. He tucked the jacket. He had a little smirk on his face. Like the
he
whole.
Turned his back to Chris.
He turned his back to someone he just slapped. Like just that in itself.
Yeah.
Oh man, just that in itself. Steve Harvey spoke on that. Like, who goes around smacking people and then turn their back on them? Who does that? That's strictly Hollywood. That's not the streets. That's not real.
No.
Not real. If you want to defend someone, at least defend it in a way where the person has an opportunity to respond. Not that Chris couldn't respond, but that wasn't his space. He wasn't his job. I know his brothers and everyone has something else to say, but they weren't the ones on stage collecting that check, trying to put on that performance that night. So he did his thing and he handled it correctly. But it could have gone differently, and Will didn't do it in a position where he had an opportunity to respond. So it wasn't really a fair stage, a fair opportunity for you wanting to bring things up to clear the air.
Yeah.
So going back to the ends justify the means, no, negative. It doesn't. I'm still even trying to figure out what his ends were. Like, what was his ends? Because you could have protected her in so many ways. I heard CNN drop this article that said he could have grabbed her hand and whispered in her ear and told her some, just recon stuff like you're beautiful and don't worry what this guy got to say. He just being mean spirited. He's just doing this, and I feel that because I honestly believe a lot of what we can change, or most of what we can change, stands with us. Definitely we have the activists, definitely we have the movers, we have the people who go up there and try to make these big changes, but it takes a lot to do that, and it's easier to change what's within you than to change what's outside of you. So him doing that would have been much more to me as a way of defending her in that moment where opportunities to us look limited. To Will, it was like anything goes right now. We're just brawling. But where the opportunities were limited, to me, that was the best approach. He could have reconfirmed her on where she stood with her sensitivity on the situation. Bring her back to a place where she's confident, where she's comfortable, and let's move on, man. Let's move on. And I don't see what his ends were. His ends did not justify the means. I'm still looking for his ends. Will, where your ends at?
Everything you guys said, man. I saw the Kareem quote about setting it back, and Ehmpress brought it back up. So everyone seems to think that there was like that's very true. There's some meat on that bone. I just never looked at it from that perspective. But I wouldn't disagree with it, if that makes sense. Like it makes total sense. So and again, I think that may be us being hypercritical of ourselves because of how hypercritical people are of us as a community. Every time we have to succeed, we gotta do twice as much to get be twice as good to get half as much, and all that stuff. That's just kind of ingrained in our culture. I would mention though that I try to look at this from a very risk, reward, and loss point of view. And again, we talked about it from what was going on, and how it was Chris Rock, and how he turned his back, and I mean, all those things are really good, valid points in which we can probably use that as a springboard for some other topics. But the one thing I thought about, I mean, like I said, I have the gift of hindsight in this case. We saw what the fallout is. It's the slap or defending someone based off of a joke that was made live while the person's at work in a space that comedians make jokes every year at the Oscars. This is nothing new.
Yep.
And I can't even get on how harsh the joke was and how it wasn't really that harsh, but that's subjective, highly subjective. Yeah. Try to look at this as a very what did you do and what did it cost you? And to me, it's he's already got he has an investigation happening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his peers are speaking out. Even Denzel, who mentioned, he didn't condemn him. He condemned the action. He said, the best thing we can do now is prayer at this point.
Yeah.
But he didn't praise him. I haven't heard many people praise, and I've seen a couple of people maybe throw up a praise about the alopecia defense, and then they got deleted in the tweet. I forget the lady. So forgive me on that. But a lot of his peers have condemned him in that way, and Will Smith has really spent most of his life, and now his whole life, creating this image of himself, this positive role model, nice guy. I wanted to be Will Smith when I was a kid. I was like, oh yeah. What I'm saying, I wasn't tall, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be Chris. Just gonna be Chris. But yeah, the fallout is that we're still talking about it. Netflix has shelved his movie. I mean, he probably got paid for it already, but still, it's gonna put a pause on his public exposure for now because he doesn't want to be seen, or he may not want to be seen. His kids have to deal with it now, like Willow and Jaden, if they want to be in that kind of entertainment business in the immediate future. Everyone's waiting for the red table talk. So if Jada says something, I think Jada finally mentioned something on Instagram or on Twitter saying something like, now is the time for healing. I don't know what that means, but we're still waiting to see, everyone close to him that he claimed that he's trying to protect now has to answer for the incident. I think I saw Jaden Smith post on Twitter again or Instagram saying, I think it was Twitter, and I think he said and that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it.
They did say that there was a timestamp on that, and that timestamp when it was live was after he received the award for his speech.
Gotcha.
But nothing was said after the initial slap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Gotcha.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. That's an important fact.
Yeah. Thank you for that context.
Because I read it and I was like, Jaden, you're not gangster. You're not that.
He's an icon living.
To me.
Yeah.
He's an icon living.
Exactly. But you see what that does. Even if he was just trying to say it from a standpoint of praising the accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna be like, oh, what was that about? What you gotta say? It's now everyone has to answer for this situation, and I don't know if that is a cost that you want to pay. I mean, obviously you lost your Academy rights and all those privileges that come along with it. I don't know if he can be reinstated. They're still doing an investigation on him now, so we don't know what that's gonna look like. I mean, luckily LAPD or Chris Rock never formally pressed charges. He could have had to deal with that.
He can still be charged.
He can still be charged. Yes.
Yeah, because if the city wants to go after him to make a point, they can, because they absolutely have a case. It's an open and shut case.
Hey, it'll be the quickest jury selection and process.
Easy.
I would just be the prosecutor being like, look at the video.
What else we got to say?
Like, so what's leaving?
Yeah. So do y'all want lunch now or later, or can we just go ahead and get this done?
So, I mean, you know what? Even speaking on that video, it's like, so I seen the video, the crack that he made. I don't know, it was 6 years, 10 years ago. The last time that Rock hosted the Oscars, right? Mm-hmm. That joke was actually hilarious. Yes, he said,
it was so funny.
I laughed. I was like, ha. The whole thing about Jada boycotting the Oscars is like him boycotting Rihanna's panties. I was like, oh, bro. Yeah. I laughed.
Like, you weren't invited.
Yeah.
And that was an attack at her performance, not her the person, right?
Yeah.
Even the hair thing, G.I. Jane was bad, man. She murked a lot of people in that movie. Like, she was a beast. And a lot of cats don't know, or the younger cats don't know who G.I. Jane is, and should watch that movie. But it wasn't a put down, at least not in my opinion.
Yeah. So
I don't think. Yeah.
Yes. So let me ask this. I mean, again, we don't. None of us believe that the cost justified the action, and we'll continue to see how this fallout materializes. But I did want to kind of get a shift in perspective here. Again, we're all three ignorant males here, and so we kind of tend to kind of think along the same lines. And sometimes it's good to have a woman's perspective on things, just to kind of see how sometimes it's just a little bit different, right? I mean, even though we're all African Americans, our experiences can be vastly unique with how we process data, and so we did see a lot of people. Again, these are Twitter people, so I mean, no one who's just like has a platform that we just really want to go out. But to be fair, I did see at least Carrie Champion, for example, Carrie Champion and Jamel Hill on CNN talking about this particular topic last week, and they mentioned, and not just them. I've heard some black men who are also in the entertainment space mention the defense of black women and how a lot of people process that as the defense of black women. And so I'm gonna just throw it to you, Ehmpress. I would like for you to kind of give your perspective on how did you process that as a woman, and if that is what protection looks like to you, and if it is or isn't, what does protection look like, or what do you expect from black men or men in general, but more specifically and more critically black men? What kind of protection are you expecting, and how that manifests in the real world?
Okay. I think I want to start with mentioning that when it comes to this topic, we have to hold women accountable, and we have to call them on the carpet when it's absolutely necessary. So this is one of those moments. Mm-hmm. If you walk around this world talking about, I don't need a man, I'm good, I got this, I can be single all my life and be straight, I need to make as much as a man, I can do exactly what a man does, and you continue with this frame of mind and this culture set that you have, then you cannot then come to the table and say, why y'all not protecting us?
Okay.
You can't do that. You absolutely 1000% cannot do that. Okay. And the reason why you can't do that is because you were just undermining men and making yourself equal to a man. We must understand something as human beings in general. Male and females are not equal by by any measuring stick that you have.
Hit the
I have a
box.
superpower. I can have babies.
You can create life.
Different, right?
Yes.
We're not equal. You have a superpower. You want to know what your superpower is? You are innately stronger than me as a female. Innately. On my best day, with an average male, same height, same weight, I would never be as strong as that male. It is simple biology, chemistry, and it is empirically proven. I'm really big on science. So when we have these conversations, I'm not here for your feelings. We got to shelf that. We have to talk strictly on logic, reason, and fact. Science is my go-to when it comes to that. So, and understand that this is not a all women think like this, because clearly I don't think like this, right? So when you talk about defending us, or when we talk about y'all defending us, what does that look like? I would say for the average female, this is a very blanket and general statement. It seems to me, based on things that I've seen and I've heard from other women, that we want our cake and eat it too. We want to be able to say that we're independent. We don't need men. We don't need this from y'all. We don't need that from y'all. You know, what are we going to do when we discover that we can get sperm from gay guys because we don't need heterosexual men to have babies? Like, these are actual conversations that these women are having, right? When we say this, we cannot then turn around and say, I need you to whoop his ass because he disrespected me. And I'm a woman, so I surely can't deal with a man. I can't fight him. I can't talk to that man. That's your job. You're supposed to defend me. You're supposed to do that. There is a huge disconnect between these two mindsets. You can't have your cake and eat it too, sis. Like, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Just like it wouldn't work if a man was saying how he didn't need a woman. He don't need this and he don't need that. But you're a heterosexual man who needs to have sex with a woman. So then you do need us, right? And that was a very basic example, because then the women are going to be like, oh, so we only good for having sex? No. Yeah. I'm bringing it to a very basic level and trying to make a point about this. So this is a tricky one, because I think in general women have their own idea of what protection looks like, right? Depending on your upbringing. For me, physical protection is a big deal. That's just a big deal to me. I want to feel like I can be physically protected. There is no real threat in my life, right? But this is my childhood, right, in the back of my head, and whatever I experienced as a child has shown up as an adult. So for me, physical protection is a big deal. Financial is, I don't need to be financially protected. Thank God I'm able to work for a living so that I can, I can hold my own in that regard. So that's not where my protection lies. But I think it's different for women in general. When it comes to this particular case with Jada and her being protected, a joke is a joke, right? There's only really like two things that are off limits to me when we're joking. And I think comedians sometimes do this, but for the most part, they're open to joke about anything. Children and terminal illness. Everything else is open season. Everything else is open season. Terminal illness and children. Those are the two things that I'm just like, so there's just so much we have to work on as a people So when it comes to Black African American men and women and how we, what we expect from y'all, and expectations are dangerous. Number one. So that's the first thing. Yeah. I'm sure Black African American men expect so much more from Black African American women. The expectations are very dangerous. The best that I can come up with is, how about we just start with respecting one another and respecting ourselves. So as women, we can't walk around here looking some kind of way, acting some kind of way, talking some kind of way, thinking some kind of way, and just expect for another human being who looks like us to defend us when we're in the wrong. Because a lot of times we be in the wrong, wanting someone to defend us. And then number two, when there's a real threat there, right? That's all I got. I mean, yeah, that for me, Jada Pinkett is from the hood. First of all, I don't know if anybody knows that. Jada Pinkett she is from the hood.
Yes.
Will Smith, and I quote, he calls himself a soft rapper from Philly. Jada don't need your protection.
Yeah.
Not from no joke.
No joke.
Yeah. No joke. No.
Yeah. No, that's
that out.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Actually, it's very astute just perspective, and I'm kind of curious now, just because you explicitly mentioned the women who are, I can do everything by myself, I'm independent, and kind of highlighted that they can't basically act like they don't need anyone until there's an opportunity for them to yell, yeah, you should have did X, Y, and Z. Definitely understand that. But I do also, I mean, we're all from the South except for Kev, and he's from the Caribbean, so I'm sure that there's he got off one stop before us. Oh, his ancestors did, but we're not all from the South. Some of us relocated to the South from another city, but I don't want to put them out there. Again, we're gonna be talking about Kev because I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know, again, the South is a very traditional, conservative culture community, and there's a lot of things that there's a lot of women and men, not just women. That's just the culture, right? There's a culture of this preserving a lot of traditionalisms about male and female roles. So there are women who don't feel like they're independent. They want to be taken care of. They want to be, the housewife if possible. And I mean, we know we can't do that now with inflation, but if perfect world, they'd be at home house managing is the word I heard. That's a new word. 2022, house manager. So with those people, I mean, I understand you highlighted the independent ones. With those people, is there something that you would provide, some perspective that you can provide that would highlight kind of like where they're coming from, and if that protection looks different, and does it fall closer in line with what happened and why we kind of get this reaction of protection and Black women not being protected and things like that?
So, I will say that the Black woman not being protected is a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're like some of the top missing folks in America, and we're least even investigated on, right? Like, and they have a very poor finding that woman rate.
Yep.
So it is not an unwarranted appeal, and it's not an unwarranted, it's not like it's not real, right? There is a level of protection that I believe we don't have, but I don't think that onus needs to be on Black African American men. That is a very, very tall order to be like, y'all need to protect us. I think a lot of times we self-sabotage. I think a lot of times we put ourselves in predicaments that we probably have no business being in. The company that we keep, the lifestyle that many of us have. And these are things that people don't talk about because they don't want to be like, that chick, oh, she don't, she doesn't defend Black African American women, or she one of them. Like, no, I'm not telling you to walk around here with your face covered up and just showing your eyes. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not telling you to not be self-expressive. I'm not telling you to be your boisterous, lively self. What I am saying is look inside, right? And really ask yourself those questions if it relates to you, right? On that level. So I definitely want to acknowledge that, we're not just talking about something that is like fairies and unicorn. It's not real. It is a real thing, right? We know some of the most vulnerable people that get taken advantage on this planet are women and children. That's globally. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, in regards to like the Southern women that you were talking about and the culture, I love the South for that. I love the South because there's just a nostalgia and a charm that it has. And so I would venture to say that those women probably don't even have this argument.
Okay.
I would venture to say that those women, this may not even be on their radar. Because they're like, I got a man.
Okay.
I have a husband. He take care of me.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They may be the type of woman that like, he take care of everything. I don't have to say anything. We're always together. So ain't nobody gonna disrespect me. He always around me. And then we also have to understand the dynamics between Jada and Will and their marriage. Okay?
Yep.
Like, we're not talking about just an ordinary couple here, right? We're talking about a woman who has been very vocal about not being a traditional wife, not really fitting into this role that Will had in his mind of what a wife was, being in love with another man, and then you talk about that on national television.
Man, that part, that's the stinger. That hurts.
Listen, I'm all about this, self evolution and you being your higher self and vibrating higher and this, that. But we're not there yet. You have to understand when you talk about loving another man that ain't even here no, God rest his soul, or he's in Cuba, who knows? When we talk, did I say too much? Okay. When we talk about that, you gotta understand what that does to a man's ego. So we're not talking about a traditional couple here, y'all. So it's tricky. It is tricky. And then they've been, they're so far removed from this reality, ordinary people reality.
Yes.
It's just like, no. We're not gonna do that. We are not.
I like what you said too, because I think when you're dating, right? When you're dating, you get to know somebody. You have your ideal of what you want in a mate, and she has her idea of what she wants in a mate, right? And as you go through the dating process, those things will either jive or they cancel out, and then you shake hands and you move on. Let's assume that Jada's been like this from the jump. I've seen posts and articles talk about I don't want to say regret, but she talks about how she had to stay home to raise the kids. And it wasn't in I'm happy to do this. Like, I had to make a sacrifice for my career. because Jada was a star back in the day, right? She talks about how that sacrifice she had to make, and I'm pretty sure she loves her kids. So that's not a question. But then the Tupac thing, like she talks about that in the Red Table Talk. She talks about the August Alsina thing, right? She talks about how sex with her husband is not up to par, how she wanted to feel good. Not saying she's wrong for feeling these things, but these are conversations you have with your mate. So I think going back to the dating comment, you got to filter this stuff out. So I like what you said. Will probably had this idea of what a wife is supposed to be. Not right, not wrong. Jada didn't match that. It's like trying to put a square into a round hole. And that's what it seems like that's been happening. They're both guilty of that, right? Jada could have left. Will could have said no. Will could have stopped pursuing when it didn't work out. So and what we're seeing now is that blow up, because when Chris Rock made those jokes, Will didn't get up there and slap him with his fingertips on stage then, but this time he did. But look at everything that's happened, namely the Red Table Talk. These issues were already there, but when you air it out, you know, when your dirty laundry is aired out in the public, it's like going back to school. You can get in the fight, somebody cracks a joke on you, small class, cracks a joke, nobody hears, it's okay, ha ha ha, yeah bro, you were funny, same situation in the auditorium, crack a joke, when people laugh, hey bro, you see what he said about you? The reaction is sometimes what we respond to. And with Jada airing it out on the Red Table Talk, Will went from being an icon, literally. He went from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Saving the World and Independence Day to Michael Lowry, you know, the ultimate man's man. And Jada chopped that dude down, right? And I know there's a lot of backlash on Jada too, but Will, he knows Jada. He knew what he was getting. He knew what he was getting, and he knew his ideal of what he wanted his wife to be. Those two ideologies don't seem like they overlap with each other. So I like what you said about that. That's a key point. That another point to people listening, single folks, do your due diligence when you're dating before you find that mate. Make sure that what you want is what they have, and what they want, you have it, right? It has to be a mutual thing, or else you're gonna be like the next Will and Jada. And it's really a shame, because once upon a time, I remember people saying, "Oh, I want the what did you say? The life partners." And I argued against that. I want to be I have a more traditional view. Yeah. But I don't think anybody's saying they want that now.
Okay, all right. Kev, you want to add to any of this? You're stroking your chin.
I'm thinking of a few things. The whole Jada, people backlashing on Jada, that struck me a little bit. I'm like, whoa, people coming at Jada for what? But yeah, I can see that being possible. Why are people coming at Jada? Wait, I can't get off of that. People coming at Jada for what?
Yeah, because they're
No, go for it.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
So the first person that I was like, wasn't really Will, but it was Jada. Because I was like, why didn't you grab his arm? Why didn't you go up to him and grab his face and whisper to him, baby?
Yeah.
We make too much money for this.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Let's right. For you to sit there, this is me on the outside looking in. I'm just like, why? Why would you sit there and allow him? Because people are going to do what they want to do, Empress. You aren't this man's servant, right? He's not going to tell you, get away from me. You know, that's your husband. That's your life partner. That is your best friend. The way they talk about it. So I think she could have had so much influence. Now, I'm not putting it all on her, obviously.
Yeah.
I am saying though, she had the opportunity, just like Will had the opportunity. They both had the opportunity to like hit the brakes on that and pull the brake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Can I bring this quick?
So yeah.
It had this guy on YouTube. He had 4 million views. I don't know how he got 4 million views. I think because he was showing snippets of Steve Harvey's reaction and snippets of Jim Carrey's reaction.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into Jim Carrey's reaction, but I have mixed feelings about Jim. I was like with him and what he's saying, but for some reason when he was saying it, I was like, dude, I don't want you saying it. But that could be something else. But this guy in this video, after he posed those two popular people's opinions, he came in and he started talking about men. You know, you got to be stoic. You can't have your emotions or yourself in general be controlled by a woman, and how he just went straight off, man, in a different zone, talking about when women makes decisions like that, it's not going to be for the betterment of the whole system. You know what I mean? It's for the betterment of themselves, and they're looking for attack dogs. And when he said that, I just couldn't even listen to him anymore, so I kind of tuned it off at that point. But I replayed it again for someone else to hear, and they wanted me to continue. No, let me hear what he got to say. So I let it play. I was like, you hearing this? And they were like, well, I'm hearing it because I see how women are reacting out there. And I'm like, so you're saying there's some validity to this, what he's saying? And they were like, maybe, I don't know. So I guess I'm bringing it up to ask, is there any validity with that with respect to, you mentioned Jada not stepping in to stop it, but did Jada have any impact on promoting it?
Not only did she not step in to stop it, there was an audience member sitting behind them, elevated on like a balcony seat, but literally right behind them, who had their video camera and was filming the whole thing from behind Jill and Jada's perspective, right?
I haven't seen that yet.
Will comes back and sits, well, as Will is coming back, Jada is filmed laughing.
That's that Baltimore. That's that Baltimore.
Laughing.
Yeah. And if that's actually true, go for it.
I literally saw it with my own two eyes. Literally, with these two eyes right here. Literally. He's walking back, and you can see the back of her head like this, and she's like,
wow.
It comes back up. Like,
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Chris, I want you to take the stage, but let me just say this one thing. Go ahead, Empress. Let you do your thing. Finish up.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, it still goes back to the fact that Will was laughing at the joke in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, let's not act like we all didn't see that.
Yeah.
We all saw it. It was clear as day.
Everybody thought it was funny.
Instinctly offended.
Yeah.
It wasn't instinctly offended. Maybe you got offended after something, but instinctly in the moment of it, you took it like what most of us took it as, maybe a little bit of an uncomfortable joke, but a joke nonetheless.
Yeah.
And from that to
yeah. And I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned, Empress, with respects to just what I would call it, I would tag it as responsibility. You have a responsibility to your inner circle, and that may be husband, wife, close friends. I always say this, man, like everyone is susceptible to let the emotions get the best of them, and they're acting irrationally. Everyone is susceptible to that, and it's the accountability for everyone who is in your circle to tell you, hey man, self-check, because you're probably going to be out of line if you continue to go down this path. So I do agree that although Will did the infraction, Jada had an accountability part. She was supposed to be the accountability partner, to be like, it's not worth it. Hey, and we talked about in the last episode here about how many different routes he could have taken. He could have waited till they went on commercial and talked to Chris Rock. They could have went backstage, and he could have, even if he wanted to slap him backstage, it's not public, because now it's just kind of like, report says blah blah blah, like it's a even, and we asked like, oh, what we would do if I was in a situation. I mean, I've been in a situation when someone talking about my girl or whatever, and my instinct isn't to fight or to upstage that person, my thing is to kind of like revalidate and reaffirm whatever insecurity that they try to attack, that you know you're bigger and better than that, and you have more than that. This person is just like, you know, whatever it is, like let's walk away from this and regroup, and you know we could probably just address it later on and to say, hey man, so you know, but I do really think that there's, you know, she has a responsibility to, because that's where she can protect him. Like he's protecting her, and she's protecting him at the same time. Like if he was going to get up and was like, you know, I'm about to, you know, put hands on him. That was the display of protection that I think people internalize and say, oh yeah, you know, woman's being protected. And she could have doubled that and reciprocated that and saying, and just grabbed them saying, hey, you know, we got, there's more to life than this one little joke where we're being laughed at for like 15 seconds. Let's not let's not mess up our money, let's not mess up our family, things like that. Like I said, he was a regular black man in a comedy club, and he smacked a person on the comedy club. He would definitely be in handcuffs. Like this is not like So you know we always talk about how we don't want black men in jail. We're in jail too often, and the black family and things like that. So with that, you know, and I'm not saying it should all be 100% one like way where women are always bailing out men. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hey, we have an accountability partner. We have a responsibility to each other, and that we should use we should leverage that when one person gets out of line, or when one of the two get out of line. If they get, you know, bolstered and emboldened to do something that's irrational, you have another person who's going to have calmer heads and say, hey, it's not worth it, because you can't have two people boiling, because like y'all, something's going to happen, something's going to be destroyed. But I did resonate with what you said with respect to that, and I do think that that's something that's inherent that we haven't talked about either.
I got there's something to piece in there, man, because what you were saying made me think about just the youth. What is it, like the red pill and the blue, the teal, the all these color pills, right? Yeah. It's totally a disrespect to a great movie franchise, right? When you look on YouTube, man, it's like, I look at our section. I can't say if other sections are doing it. I don't know. But as far as like black culture, man, it's like male versus female. We're like two rams going against each other. It's a competition. I should not be competing with my woman, right? You talked about accountability departments, partners. It's a freaking team, man. And I think we've lost sight of that. It's all about who can get who. And I look at hip hop, right? I don't know any other race that dogs the women the way we do in popular hip hop, right? Yeah. Is be this, elf that, swallow my kids this, blah, 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 blah. Right? Then we have a few rappers that come along that praise women. We don't like that. We sleep on them. Yep. The response has been, you got city girls, you got Meg talking about, I'm gonna make my bag and spend your bag, right? And then that kind of trickles down to the conversations that people have with one another. Like men are saying, this whole other thing. You move in together. Is it going to be a 50-50 split? Is it going to be this, that, and the third? Because both parties are trying to protect themselves. They got for their own self-interest instead of pouring into each other. And you see that more and more and more. And I know a lot of people say that social media doesn't influence that, or what happens. It's all coming into us. You know, Kev, you talk about this too. What we look at, what we absorb comes into us. And Ehmpress, I know you talk about that too. It's hitting us. And it's sitting in the back of our minds, just percolating back there, and affecting or having an impact on the decisions we make. And I hate to see how we are at odds with each other, man. It's awful, you know. And this is just, I think this highlighted it. This is like another piece of wood in the fire, right? Where black women are saying this, black men are saying this, and it's furthering the divide. And that's been just a thing since you were removed from like the households back in the day. That's a whole nother topic. I want to go down that rabbit hole, man. But it's awful. And one of you guys, it should be this teamwork. It should be about love, but that's not popular to say. That's not cool. You don't get views off of that. Yeah. I love my wife. I love my girl. I love whoever. I love black women. And it's like
Next.
he's a simp.
Hey,
You know.
you're the new age, man. You're the new age.
Yeah.
Ever since Kanye made Jesus Walks up in the album, I mean, things have been a little different.
Yeah.
I know he's the cause for the change, but Will Smith has been all about that love. That's been his character.
And that's what he did this time should not detract from the work that he's done. Like people saying, Martin Luther King, he's not a great man because he stepped out of credit. Look what they do. That shit don't separate his personal life from the work, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather separate the personal life from the work, rather.
Yeah. So, no, that's an interesting tidbit, man. I'm glad you added that into this gumbo, I guess we were speaking about. Just
I like that gumbo.
Dynamic
choice.
Of relationships. But yeah, let's. I want to touch on one last thing. This is gonna be real quick, man. I noticed a couple of things. Ehmpress, you mentioned about like what Will would have done if the host or the person who infringed was not Chris Rock. It was a white woman named Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Any of these
white woman named he's coming at you.
But just if it was anyone else, if it was Dave Chappelle, if it was Ellen DeGeneres, if it was insert white man here, it doesn't really matter at this point. And would you think that he would have done the same thing? And I'm a add something because I know Kev mentioned he slapped Chris Rock and walked away, turned his back. Which I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it, about how unafraid he was. Like he didn't have any fear that Chris Rock was going to retaliate. Because if you turn your back, like it's done, right?
Yeah.
So do you think he would have done the same thing if it was another a black comedian, white person, a female, any of those combination of things? And he definitely he would have turned his back if he had got to that point to where he already smacked him, like or her. Like, would he have just turned around and walked away and thought everything was gonna be all good?
You want me to start?
Yeah. I'll let you kick it off. Yeah, real quick.
Okay. So first of all, he wouldn't. I don't believe he would have done it if it was anybody, who he believed would not have just taken it. Number one. So that's like if it was The Rock or Dave Chappelle, he would not have done that, right? And we're talking about people of color, okay? So if it was anybody bigger than him or anybody who he knew was about that life, and I'm just hosting the Oscars, so I'll kick your ass on all up and down this stage and we can do this, he would not have done that, right?
Yeah.
And then I think honestly, if the comedian was white, no. The comedian was a woman, no. And that's just what I think in regards to. I just can't get off of the fact that he called himself a soft rapper from Philly. I mean, those were his words, quote, like, and out here I am, this soft rapper. I'm just like, you can't make me believe that if it was a white man up there, he would have done that. A white comedian. If it was a woman, he definitely would have won that. Because the other part to that is his mom used to get beat by his dad. So I don't think that's really his flavor, to be honest. And then if it was anybody who would have definitely been like, oh, I got time tonight, so we can do this.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Kev, man, you have a same, different, or somewhere between? Same.
Very same. I heard Jim Carrey said, I would have been waking up that morning suing Will for $200 million. and he was serious. You could tell in his face, he was like, you come up and smack me while I'm doing my job, dude. And he was saying it from the perspective like, this will be out there forever. That disrespect, that thing that you did, that's gonna be out there for eons, for everybody to see. I'm suing you, dude. I'm suing you. 200 million to me, and I believe he was dead serious. And I don't think Will want to deal with that. Why would we want to deal with that?
Oh yeah.
What do you want to deal with? Trying to deal with a lawsuit off of smacking somebody, which is live. You have no way to say it wasn't me. This ain't Shaggy time. Like you can't do nothing about it. Look, like you done.
Right.
You red-handed, so you have to do it in a situation where you know I could get away with this.
Yeah.
Now Chris is about that life.
Yep.
But Chris is also about that life. He's about these both of these lives, getting his paper corporate as well as he's a Jersey boy at the same time. So I think he kind of felt like, I could probably get away with this. You know, me and Chris cool enough to where he rolled it off. He won't attack me right away, and he probably won't press charges like that nonsense, that extra stuff. Because we bought that life. We family out here. He not gonna sue family, but I'm gonna smack him though.
Yeah.
In front of everybody. That's not a very family shit to do though. I'm gonna be honest, man.
I know. Yeah.
Some family stuff, man. I'll do that to my bro or my sis or something like that, man. But I'm not doing that to some stranger who just up there trying to just crack a weird joke that's out of place. Yeah. It's like, dude, you out of place with your joke right now. I'm not gonna expend that much energy on you.
I hear you. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I'm 100% with all y'all. I'm not even gonna add anything. It's like, yeah, dude, this is. Is it like a saying, like a tree knows what branch to jump on or something like that? A monkey? I'm sorry, a tree. A monkey knows. A tree knows. Yeah. Bro, because man, you don't.
That's
you don't
that
live.
Memphis coming out.
Because you don't live.
Because
You don't live. You don't live. That's the thing, man. You gotta get some more adventure.
Next time you see that happen, video it and put it online. I want to see a tree jump off a branch.
I may. I don't know, man. You don't even know what Georgia. I mean, you don't even know what Alabama is. You can't be from there. So.
Bro, you going back to something, dude? The map was. I'm not going in that. No.
Okay.
What you saying? The map had a gap.
Okay.
You had an old map, man. You had an old map.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no. Let's say like a monkey knows what branch to jump on. Is what I was trying to get at. But yeah, he knew. He knew that it wasn't nothing going to happen.
That's it.
I want to. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say he just had that confidence. Yeah. There's a confidence of just backing someone walking away. So that
jacket talk, smirk, everything.
He felt good. He felt good.
He felt real good. Too good.
Yeah. I want to ask y'all this, man. I want to ask y'all this because not a woman, Ehmpress. I don't know if women do this, but as a man, do you like in situations where it gets tense, it gets stressful with another man? Do you size them up to see if I can take him, how I can take him? Here are my options if it gets physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it. I don't know how tall Chris Rock is. I know he's short. Will is 6'2". He's a giant in Hollywood, right? A giant in Hollywood. And he's got to be, what, 230, 240. He boxes, the Ali thing. And so going back to what you guys said, he sized them up, man. We size people up. You know, it's something innate in us. And that, I think, was enabled him to go up there. Another thing that enabled him to go up there, walk up there, casual, cool. He didn't rush. He didn't show any sign of aggression. And, I mean, Chris leaned in like oh.
He's like, why you here?
Yeah. You mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he open fire on him, right? And to turn his back, it's because it's like, if Chris even jumps on me, I feel comfortable enough that I can take him. Before security anybody's concerned, I can take him. And that's ultimate sign of disrespect. The slap was disrespectful. The turning the back, getting your jacket, Jada laughing at. I read a report that they weren't holding hands before. After that, they were holding hands, right? Like she was, that Baltimore came out of her, like that childhood. Oh, she's like too
toxic.
No, not too toxic.
Is that you, Shakur?
Yeah, he had the mending wounds. Y'all don't even know what's going on. He had the mending wounds from last week. He making sure he had no clue what's going on, but he doing something.
Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah.
So cool. All right, I think this is where we're gonna leave it. I appreciate everyone's input on this. This is gonna be a very we're gonna continue to have this kind of discussions because I mean, obviously, right? This is still a hot topic for the global news. It's Ukraine, and then it's Will.
It seemed like Will jumped above Ukraine for a minute, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, it's just it's gonna be here for a little bit. It's still simmering down. So we're gonna see what other things manifest out of this story. So yeah, we can go ahead and do the sign out though. I'll start with you, Ehmpress. Again, thank you for gracing us with your presence. And Kurt said he's given up his seat. So if you ever want to, we could just kick him out. He doesn't even. He said it's okay. He said he's okay. He's gonna be air frying in the kitchen or whatever he does.
Oh wow!
but yeah, is there anything you want to leave with us? Leave us with as far as like a final comment, final words.
I want to know why Ehmpress ain't give a shout out to her birth town. Talking about Atlanta. Well, Boston.
You said my birth town?
Yeah, Beantown.
I wasn't even born in the United States of America, so.
See?
Okay.
Get your research straight, bro.
See what I'm saying?
Right. That's not
fine. So. Okay.
I was even born in so some of my final thoughts, honestly, that I want to leave everybody with, if I had to say anything, is we don't ever know 100% of a story. So it's so absolutely important to know that all commentary comes from a perspective of very limited knowledge of what's actually going on. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean for everybody in the social media world and TV land? It means opinions are just that. They're just opinions. They're not facts. It's not scientifically proven. It's just an opinion. And a lot of times, another person's opinion is none of your business anyway. Mm-hmm. So your opinion of me is none of my business until you bring it to me. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing I want to leave people with. Don't rack your heads and your brains about things. Let it be what it is, and just know that, thank God, opinions are not facts.
Yeah, definitely. And tell them again.
And that's that.
There you go. And tell them again your Instagram and all your social medias and stuff. Go ahead and do the plug one more time, please.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time here, I forget to even plug that. So yeah, you can catch me on TikTok at Perfectly Single Co-Parent. You can catch me on IG at Perfectly Single Co-Parent Mom. And if you just look up Ehmpress spelled with an H, it's EHMPRESS. It's the only one I could find, so it stuck. That's where you can find me. I'm also on YouTube, Ehmpress Azzy 666. There's a lot of plugs. I know it's a lot. Just look for Perfectly Single Co-Parent or Perfectly Single Co-Parent Mom. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Kev, you got something you want to add? Sign off.
We said so much already, man. I don't even know. I have nothing in my head right now, but I do have a Jet Li quote that I thought of as Ehmpress was speaking.
Oh, nice. Jet Li.
It's a short one, very short one, man. He said, learn the way of finding your own way. Learn the way of finding your own way. I think, Will is doing that. We're all doing that. Jade is doing that. Opinions are opinions, like Ehmpress mentioned, and we're all figuring it out. So in these situations, we learn from it as well, being spectators. We better ourselves and moving forward from these situations. We learn from the people, from observations, as well as the things we do. So, yeah, I'm going to just leave it with that, man. Learn the way of finding your own way. Cool. Best of luck to you. Bless.
Cool. All right, Kirchella, you gotta.
That was good, Kevin.
He's a guru
Chopping
out here.
Knowledge.
I know.
The spirit of wisdom strikes again.
I know. They'll call him Yoda. Kurt, what you got, man? You got a factoid, or are you just gonna hit us with some final thoughts?
I got a factoid. Based on perspective, I like how you guys set that up for the fact. Thank you, Empress, thank you, Kev, for setting up the best member on the show right here. Me. So with that, sad fact, I'm gonna lead to something good, right? So I was checking unmarried rate of Black people in America, right? And for whatever reason, it goes from the woman's perspective. More than 70% of Black women are unmarried, right? And then you go over to the divorce rate. We have the highest divorce rate at 31%, right? This is as of 2021, right? So with that, 70% unmarried plus when they do marry, it's like a 32% chance it's not going to make it. So taking it from a different perspective, at the end of the day, you guys all seen that movie, The Notebook? Mm-hmm. Remember that at the end? I think I forgot who died first, but the other one held their hand at the bed or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, I'm signing out too."
Yep.
And at the end of the day, our goals when we do marry somebody is to continue this life's journey through to the end. And maybe in Will and Jada's mind, they're looking at the bigger picture. They're gonna lose some money here. They're gonna lose some fans there. 10 years from now, we probably won't be talking about this like that. When it's all said and done, hopefully the marriage is intact, and maybe that's what they're looking at, that the long journey, the long game. So maybe Will was up there still fighting for his marriage, the laugh, how he handled it, all that stuff, but they held hands, and they weren't doing that before. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's a turning point. Maybe he's fighting for his marriage. And at the end of the day, that union is what's important.
Yeah. That's a very fair point. Very fair point. So yeah, with that said, let us know what you think about our thoughts in the comments. Like, dislike, tell a friend. Give us 5 stars if you're on the podcast side of things. And again, this is all for YouTube, all for Spotify, so they'll know, or Apple Podcasts, so they'll know that we exist and that people actually like us. So we're here, like I said, every Tuesday. And again, until Tuesday, I'll let everyone go. So with that said, deuces, everyone.